Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today, we welcome back Kathy POBLOSKIE from Lost Dogs of America. And today, we're going to talk about National Lost Dog Awareness. On April 23rd, 2014, Lost Dogs of America created and launched the first National Lost Dog Awareness Day, a canine-focused day aimed to bring attention to all dogs that are lost each year, while also celebrating the thousands of lost dogs successfully reunited with their families. In the world of animal advocacy, adoption efforts of homeless dogs in shelters and rescues is a major focus. National Lost Dog Awareness Day places a new focus on lost pets and reminds the public that not all stray dogs are homeless. An estimated 40 to 60% of stray animals in shelters are actually lost pets who really don't need a new home. They just need someone to help them get back home. Increased awareness of lost pets help reduce stress on owners through hope and resources and works towards reducing intake and shelter deaths at shelters and animal control facilities. Kathy POBLOSKIE is the co-founder of Lost Dogs of America and the director and founder of Lost Dogs of Wisconsin, and she joins us each month to talk about lost pet recovery methods and the importance of doing everything to keep your pet safe. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Thanks, Patty. Thanks for having me. And wow, you just kind of said it all there in a nutshell. So that's great.
Now we don't have to talk. We're going to sit here. Yeah, so I realized it was National Lost Dog Awareness Day, and so I wanted to talk about it. We may not be on the air on the exact day, but it'll be close enough that we should talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just seems to be kind of, growing a little bit each year with more and more media outlets picking it up and maybe doing a local story on, a pet in their area. And so it's been really encouraging to see it, sort of take on a life of its own.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And we're very pleased that a lot of even the microchip companies and shelters and stuff are sharing the graphics and posting it on their page. And, and we really never meant, it's certainly not like, we tried not to brand any of the information so that everybody can use it. They don't have to feel like, that it's branded with our logo or anything. It's for anybody to use, like National Pizza Day. Any pizza company can celebrate National Pizza Day.
Yeah, because I really like that not all stray dogs are homeless, because we hear it too often, and this is such an important day that people need to understand that not all stray dogs are homeless. It's so true.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's a really a big misconception about if a dog gets lost, it's going to end up in a shelter within a few days. Well, it may or it may not. It may not end up in a shelter for months or even years, or it may end up in a shelter, a gazillion miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really think about that and look at each intake as it comes in and think, could this be somebody's lost pet? It can really change the perception, and just because somebody doesn't show up that day for that pet, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that it's not a loved pet and that somebody isn't looking for it and wanting to reclaim it when they figure out where it is.
Yeah. We've noticed such an upturn recently in found pets, and I know there's somebody's pet, and I don't know if it's because of the snowbirds in town and not knowing where to look, and it really breaks my heart when I see them in the shelter, and think that it's somebody's lost pet, and where are these people,
Right. And there really has been such a focus on adoptions, and I'm not trying to knock that. I think that's been good and it saved a lot of lives, but those pets already have a home. So
Mm-hmm.
why not work on that piece of the puzzle as well? And
Mm-hmm.
then really truly, if nobody can be found, if an owner can't be found, then adopt out the pet. But there's so much. So people are so quick to decide that a pet needs a new home. And with stray holds, city budgets are getting, are less and less, and so stray holds are getting lower and lower. And so dogs that maybe in the past were kept for 7 days, may now only be kept for 3 days. In some places, even less than that, 24 hours. And then that pet becomes the property of the shelter and they can adopt it out. Well, 24 hours or 3 days is not enough for somebody,
No.
to find their pet. And again, because that pet could have gone a really long ways, and they may not have, that may not even be in their in their target zone yet of where they're looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that's so true, and there's not enough time sometimes, and that's what really bothers me. That and the mentality of, oh, it doesn't have a tag, it doesn't have a chip, it's nobody's pet. But I don't know how many times I've heard the expression, oh, I just gave the dog a bath and it doesn't have its collar on. If I could have $1 for every time I heard that, I could go on vacation, except not right now.
Yeah. I know.
But it's a sad state of affairs, I think, if somebody's mentality is that without a collar, without a chip, it's nobody's pet, because it's very more likely it is somebody's pet.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we try our best to get people to put collars and tags on, but everyone's got an excuse, and so it's something that that needs to be done more, and just that mentality of a stray dog is more than likely someone's pet.
Yep, absolutely. And and I have friends that for whatever reason, they're the most responsible people in the world, but for whatever reason they don't like a collar. They don't like or they have dogs that play really rough with each other, and they're worried that one dog is going to get its mouth caught in the other one's collar, or they have some kind of a really nice hair coat that they don't like when the collar makes the mark on their neck. I mean, and even us. I mean, and I try to think that I'm a responsible pet owner, but we take our dogs' collars off at night because we don't like the jingle jangle when we're trying to sleep. If they get up or scratch or something, and then we put them right back on first thing in the morning. But if there was a fire overnight and our dogs escaped from the house, they would have no collars on, and it certainly doesn't mean that I don't love our dogs.
Right.
It's just that's our lifestyle, and that's and there's a lot of that goes on. But I have heard some pretty bad horror stories about dogs playing roughly with each other and one getting its mouth caught in the other one's collar, and then ending up in a tragedy. So I understand that when some people say that.
Yeah. So then the answer.
Collars collars and do fall off.
Yeah.
A dog can be lost, the collar can fall off.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because how many times I have heard, and I'm sure you have too, that when a pet, particularly cats, because they can slither out of things. It had a collar on, but when it was found, it didn't. So it can't be that cat. Well, it's not black and white. Maybe if it was a dog that was lost with its collar on and it was found without its collar on, maybe somebody found it in the meantime, took that collar off because they had ID tags and they thought they were going to keep it, and then it escaped again, so now it doesn't have a collar on. So whenever I hear, I want to cringe, if somebody says, oh, it can't be that dog because it was wearing a pink collar and now it doesn't have one. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. I always just hope that when people see a possible match for their pet, that they go and really do a good job of checking it out, because we hear that too. Or we'll have people say they'll want to phone the shelter and say, see if she responds to the name Daisy, and if she doesn't, well, then it can't be my dog, because my dog always would respond to its name Daisy, or my dog will always do a high five. So go into the kennel and see if the dog does a high five, and if it doesn't. But when these dogs have been lost for a while, they're very stressed out, and they may not respond at all, to the things that they normally would respond to. So you cannot, you can't base that, your decision on that.
Right. Yeah, it's so important to go in person. And pictures. I mean, we've both seen, you have an article on your webpage about it. I've got a graphic about it, about the pictures and how different pictures can look just based on lighting, or even we've got a really good one that the girl took a selfie, and so the dog's brown patch on the white face is on one side in one picture and it's on the other side on the other picture. So it couldn't be the same dog, but it was the same dog, but it was mirror reverse because of the way it was taken, and so there's just so many simple things that people need to be aware of. And this National Lost Dog Awareness Day is the point of bringing all these little things, that the little things mean so much to help
Yes,
get the dogs home and found
yes,
and everything else.
yeah. And we're trying hard too to I mean, people all over the country now are trying to help doing with the matching, which is wonderful, right? They're
Hmm.
watching, in their own little area, they might be watching, newspaper ads and listings or something, and trying to make matches, and that is just awesome. But also educating all those people to what you just said, that pictures are not always the perfect, you know, it's not always going to look like a perfect match. So
Hmm.
don't dismiss something. And we've had people actually argue with us on the page that, oh, that can't possibly be the same dog. When we put up an educational post and we're saying, like, yes, it is the same dog. We know it's the same dog.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that dogs' coat colors change as they age, and ears that maybe at one time stood straight up now flop over, and, their dog nose color can change, and
I
like you
know.
said, the selfie thing can make the patches or the markings appear on the other side. So,
Yeah. And not to mention that we've had people try to disguise someone's pet by cutting their hair. You
yes,
know,
yes,
if a dog is a
we've had a
long-haired
few.
dog and then they cut it short.
I know we've had a few dye jobs, and in
Oh, wow.
the last, yeah, where they've actually tried to dye the dog to disguise it.
Mm.
Um,
I don't
uh,
think we've had any of those locally, but I have read the articles about that, and that is so awful. Oh,
I know, isn't it? Isn't
yeah,
it?
it sure is. I just talked
Oh,
with Rob at the interview before this. I talked with Rob Goddard from the Helping
oh, okay,
Lost
yep,
Pets.
great.
Yeah, and
Mhm,
talking
yep.
about the national database and the importance of that. And that's a really important thing. And why don't you give your take on that and the importance of people, getting the information out there, because you mentioned already that they can cross borders and be found in other counties and that type of thing.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've always, fought right from the get-go, and again, because we used to do everything ourselves, kind of by hand, tried, to keep a database and all that sort of stuff. And then as we grew and we realized that we just couldn't keep up, that we needed um, to enter into some sort of centralized database, was when we started using Helping Lost Pets. And now our recommendation really to people is um, if you could just post on a local Facebook page and find your dog, great, or on your local next door, great. But if your dog is missing more than 24, 48 hours, say, it really needs to go into a centralized database so that if it does end up getting picked up and ends up across the country or something, there is still a chance. There's still a chance that you're going to find it. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, microchips are great. We love microchips, but they have their failings too. So um, you want to have as many tools in your toolbox as possible to help you find your dog, and getting them into that centralized database. We just feel is very important.
Right, right. Yeah. We've started, giving that out to everybody as well, and asking people, especially the ones that try to post that are not in our group. We give them the Lost Dogs and Lost Cats of Florida and the Lost Dogs of America pages, because we get people from out of state too trying to join, thinking, Lost Pet Services sounds kind of like a, very generic thing, and so they probably think it's, nationwide or whatever, and it's not. But so
Right.
we don't just discard them. We do. That's who we give them, is the Helping
Yeah.
Lost Pets and the Lost Dogs of
Yeah.
America groups, because I
Yeah.
know the importance of that national database.